Mwahaha, happy Halloween! It is spooky, scary time. And I'm not going to do that for the whole video. That would be insane. But it is the end of October. It is Halloween, and that does mean that we're going to do one more kind of creepy, crawly type of episode. And something that we have not done yet is taken a look at any of the fossils. And the fossils are pretty creepy. I mean, Ammonite is really not that scary. He's kind of cute and adorable and a little cuddly, and then he turns into something not so much. And Kabuto, I guess, isn't necessarily too scary, but like the glowing red eyes kind of feels like something kind of harrowing, you know? And also when you think about it, when you go back to some of the old Pokemon memes, you know, you have the Lord Helix, but then of course you have the evil dome fossil, right? And so I felt like, yeah, of course, let's get into the dome fossil and let's take a look at these. I was trying to figure out if I was going to do Kabuto or Kabutops today, but when you look at this artwork on the left-hand side of the screen, my God, nothing really touches the watercolors from Gen 1 and Gen 2. I feel like overall, as the time has gone on and we've kind of gotten away from this way of doing the art for the Pokemon, and we've really changed some stuff up, I just really, none of the Pokemon hit like this anymore, you know? And I think there's obviously still great Pokemon and great Pokemon designs, but this artwork is just so, like, haunting and kind of frightening, but also looks so cool. Oh God, yeah, that artwork for Kabutops is awesome. I almost called him Kabuto. Kabuto. How do you say that? I feel like a lot of people say these names very differently. That's just what I've always said it as, so I don't know. Anyway, going into the details, though, of this Pokemon, if you look at the move pool, it's not great. What is funny is that for a long time in my life, I used to think that this Pokemon was rock grass and would always get it wrong. And I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that yes, it does learn Hydro Pump way late in the game, but really, you know, when you get the Pokemon, it just has Absorb and Harden. And so it's kind of one of those things where you look at that and you go, surely there's no way. Oh, and Scratch, my bad. But, you know, it's one of those things where you look at that and you go, okay, so it's grass. Nope, it's a water type that uses Absorb. It doesn't get access to Giga Drain, and it doesn't learn anything super helpful in its own learn set until pretty late in the game. A big reason for that is because it wouldn't really matter anyway, because you were getting the fossil and then you had to resurrect it at the 7th gym in Cinnabar. I guess you could do some stuff a little out of order if you wanted to, but you still have to have the Fuchsia City gym badge to get down there. So, you know, there's just a lot of kind of hoops and ladders to go through here. And even if you skip some stuff and then go back, you're playing with this Pokemon in the late game. So its earlier levels don't really matter all that much. So I guess a lot of that kind of tracks and makes sense. But one of the things that does drive me nuts about this Pokemon is that it's a rock Pokemon and does not have a rock move. How does that make sense? How do you have a fossil rock type, which is where I guess the rock technically is where that's coming from, but how do you have this Pokemon and not give it Rock Slide, Rock Throw, something? It just feels backwards, or I don't know, like an afterthought perhaps. But I digress. It doesn't really matter because Kabutops is still a sick Pokemon, right? It is more of a physical attacker, so even though we're going to be able to get moves like Surf later on, which is honestly a pretty goated water type move, let's be honest with ourselves. Not only is it an HM and useful outside of battle, but it's very useful in battle as well. And then you have Ice Beam, which has a lot of utility and a lot of usage in this generation especially. The biggest problem, like I said, is that because it's not a special attacker, those two moves are going to have to be supplemented with some other things. We're going to have some access to other great moves, but specifically, you know, I know maybe it's going to seem like a little bit of a gimmick, but it's one of those things where it gets access to Body Slam, and so that's going to be our best physical attacking move that also does not damage ourselves. So when the move pool is a little limited, yeah, it does mean that you're going to have to pull out some of the usual stops, you know, but I think that that's not necessarily a problem. The fact that this thing can hit this hard and then of course has access to Swords Dance, because how could you not when you have basically giant swords for hands? I know they're like Scythe, but still. The idea, though, to me, that these things can really bulk up their abilities and then hit, I mean, it's gonna do a lot of damage, really, no matter what move we're using. But if we set up enough, the special moves will get some boost, but Body Slam will really just, I mean, it'll send someone else to the Stone Age, you know? Either way, though, I am looking forward to using this Pokemon a lot. I rarely have used it just because of the fact that it is a late stage game, like Pokemon, like a person that you can't add to your team until really far into the game. And by that point, you're usually set on your water type and or rock type. So I think it's rare that you're going to see this Pokemon really in usage. So that's why it feels great to have it today. And we're immediately jumping in against Brock's gym. Now that I've spoken for probably actually too long, and I do apologize on that one. Sometimes I just really like getting into the details, both about like my feelings on the Pokemon and how it looks, but also, you know, the way that it performs. And I guess sometimes you got to take the good with the bad, right? Now, we are finally going up against Brock, and because he's a rock-type gym leader, even though Absorb is technically a 20 power move, it gets boosted up to 80, even without a same-type attack bonus. It's just that good against rock/ground type. So, yeah, when you have a ×4 bonus, it's going to make Brock pretty easy. And speaking of easy, we do make our way through Mount Moon. I unfortunately spent a little bit more time in there than I really meant to. I just fought a couple people that were optional that I really didn't need to in the long run. So, you know, when we eventually come back to this run, that's something that we'll have to take a look at. But we're already done with the Rivals second team. You know, once you have a solo challenge, especially, you know, you're going to be higher level than his team, but especially when you have those evolved Pokemon when he does not, it's pretty common that those things are going to just sort of go right through the team. Then we're going to do something maybe a little unconventional. We're going to go to the SS Anne and pick up Body Slam. Maybe Absorb is enough for Misty, but my fear is that it's not going to get a big enough boost and our special isn't all that great. Moves like Bubble Beam can still crit, so maybe let's just make sure we're getting some extra levels and we're getting a big heavy hitter move on the team before we go back to Misty. This whole run really is kind of a little bit of an experiment on a run. I don't know maybe if it's necessarily the fastest, but I think it feels pretty good. It feels very solid, you know? So SS Anne is done. We've already defeated the third rival team. It's not really any different than it was at Nugget Bridge. Now we've made our way back to Misty. And as you can see, Body Slam, 1 hits. Granted, we're also level 29, but that feels great. And then we do backtrack just a tiny bit. I know, again, feels a little out of order here, but then we go back to Lieutenant Surge, and we did need to save him anyway because of the fact that the electric moves would be ×2 and it would be very effective, but yeah, he's Lieutenant Surge, so of course he's done. Then we make our way through the rock tunnel. We're going to immediately go to the tower after we get the Pokédoll. The Pokédoll is just basically instantly go over to Celadon, pick it up, then immediately make our way back here. We're not going to do Erica's gym just yet. Those grass moves are 4 times effective against us. Let's avoid that. And also, we don't want to do the game corner stuff. We don't need to do the game corner stuff. But what we can do is now that we've defeated the Pokemon Towers, we can come to Silphco, and we can pick up the TM for Swords Dance. Now, this is the moment, folks. We're going to put that move on the team, and what you're going to see is a badge boost glitch. If you've never heard of it before, it's something that happened in Generation 1 only, where every time you use a move that boosts any stat that you then have on your Pokemon that has a badge that gives a boost, it then gets reapplied every time you use that move. So when I use Swords Dance, not only is my attack going to go up, but so is my defense, at least for now. Eventually, my special and my speed will also go up. And I didn't really set up here against this rival. I actually didn't think I needed it. And I'll be honest, I probably could have used it because that was a little close. Didn't really love how close that fight got, but we're still less than 40 minutes in and still with 0 resets. Now, we're 40 minutes in and still have 5 badges, but remember, we're about to defeat and finish off the Team Rocket storyline, which means that from here on out, it should just be, just picking up speed, snowballing, and getting faster and faster and faster. And I love to see that. This is also kind of a crazy move. I just used a potion and did not have anything to get rid of the poison, and I'm still going to go up against Giovanni. I do think that I have an answer for basically everything here, and one single setup for my then move of Body Slam is great, although I have to be careful. I can't do too many because the poison damage will hit, and also the Nidorino does have double kick, and I am obviously weak to fighting types, so had to make it through there. Did think I was going to hit the Nidoqueen for one time. In fact, those two got a little dangerous, but, you know, we like to live on the edge here. Then we're going to go to Sabrina. Now, this seems, again, crazy because we still don't have the 4th or 5th badge, so we're instantly going up to the 6th one, but I felt like we're already here, and I have a physical attacker. Her defense is awful, so I just go for it. What is also funny is that I didn't need to set up on this one, actually. That way I didn't have to risk any of the Kinesis or Flash, because they were always going to outspeed me. I don't have the badge that's going to give me a boost to my speed. They outspeed me on all fronts, so I guess kind of a pointless thing, but they didn't hit me with any debuffs, so in the end, it didn't really matter. Then we're going to finally make it to Erica's gym, and at this point, by being level 44, I mean, it's a clean sweep. As you can see, I don't need to really do anything, and this is the right move because we were definitely going to get hurt pretty bad against Erica if we missed even once, or if we didn't finish them off in one move. But by being level 45 by the time we make it to Erica, there you have it. 3 ice beams, 3 deaths, 3 knockouts, however you want to look at that. And we are moving on to the next one. This is feeling quite good. The timing is feeling very solid. We've already picked up some stuff. The only thing that we have to do after this is get Surf. It's the one thing that I have not picked up. Well, I guess technically in Strength, but you know, they're side by side. But we're going to do that, and then we're going to just keep cruising right through. Getting put to sleep against Koga is not exactly the best feeling, but he also has a lot of throw moments here. He likes to use X attacks, which I feel like would make sense if he had more physical damaging moves, but most of the time he's going for Psychic, and he doesn't have a physical attacking move for at least 2 of those Pokemon, or perhaps one of them just has Tackle, maybe, I don't remember. I've already moved past the footage. I'm not going to go backwards. It doesn't matter because we defeated him. He's easy, at least today. And then going up against Blaine, obviously, you know, a little bit of a sword stance, just to make sure that our speed is up there. Right now, our special is still pretty low, so we have to be really careful here. And luckily, the Surf is getting them pretty low on each hit, and there you have it. Very little damage taken against Blaine. First try, level 51, 51 and a half minutes in, and then immediately going up to Giovanni's gym. I did just a tiny bit of training, just basically the things that you have to fight, and then 1 or 2 side guys just to make sure that I was, you know, feeling confident in my guy here. But now that we can boost things like our speed, we're doing good. We have to boost our stats because any ground type move is going to be super effective against Kabutops. But luckily, now that we have our speed boost and we're up +4 on our physical attacks, that'll be great. The one thing that I didn't think about was the fact that I probably could have trained a little bit more so that I didn't level up in the middle of the fight, because that reset my special and my speed, but it didn't matter. It was enough of a boost anyway on all the other fronts to get me a 1 hit on the rest of his team. So, you know, maybe I was fine, but you know, you got to be careful with those Pokemon that are super effective against you. You really, especially if you're going for those badge boosts, you don't want to level up in the middle of a fight. Not the important ones at the very least. And then here is my opponent. I've not addressed the name in this video, but it is something that is quite terrifying to me. Hot Goths. Spooky scary. Please don't come and find me. I'm terrified. Oh, don't do it. Don't do it. You're so scary. I don't need it in my life, please. Okay, but all jokes aside here, the rival for the time being, not that difficult. We are less than an hour in, and we're on our way to the Elite Four. Now, I am showing for the first time ever something that happens here in Victory Road, and it's because for the first time ever, I have a little bit of a whoopsie. I did luckily save right before that, because I guess in the back of my mind, I thought, well, this person is a grass trainer. And, you know, we wiped Erica, but luckily I did think to save, because if I hadn't, the last save would have been before the rival fight outside of Victory Road, so we would have been set back a few minutes there, which would have been pretty devastating. Now, luckily we get the freeze here, so we don't really need to actually use the ice beam if I really wanted to use it more in Victory Road, but, you know, I guess it is what it is. At the end of the day, that was ending up my last fight. We then go in and we heal up, we drop off the other 2 Pokemon, we pick up our items, and we're going to start using our rare candies. This is going to be a crucial moment. One of the big problems that I am facing today, maybe it's not a huge one, but there is somehow a rare candy that I missed. I don't know where it was. I don't know which one I accidentally skipped over, but there is one that I left behind. I came in here with only 10, and there should have been 11. Granted, there is a 12th one as well, but I definitely skipped over that. We don't need to add time, at least not to this Pokemon. Either way, we go up a few levels. We're leaving some of them so that we don't level up in the middle of the later fights, but we are going to set up a little bit here against the Dugong. But honestly, you know, Lorelei's team shouldn't be too bad for this Pokemon. Ice-type moves aren't super effective against us. The Water-type moves aren't super effective against us. Perhaps a Psychic could happen, but that's also not going to do much, even though our special is a little low. But, you know, you can see right here that with that setup, we just kind of cruise right through this Water/Ice/Psychic gym. Gym? It's not a gym. It's the Elite Four. Then we move on to Bruno, a over-glorified hiker. Someone who does love rocks and fighting types, and it's crazy to then use a rock to fight his guys and kick his butt. I don't know. Sometimes, you know, you really kind of take a gamble on the smack talk that you do in these videos, but I'll leave that in. It's probably the best one I'll get. Now, okay, here's something spooky scary. It is Agatha. This is the time that we're really showcasing that we're fighting up against some ghost types Pokemon. Okay, well, that's a fun one. Ghost type Pokemon here on Halloween, and it is a little spooky scary because I don't really have a great answer for this team because I don't have anything super effective against them. I really tried to set up, but by the time I did, it just really wasn't beneficial, and I forgot to use my rare candies going into this fight. And what's going to be amazing about that is the fact that I did level up, it didn't help, and then I reset, and guess what I don't do on this one? I don't use the rare candy, which is a choice, I would say. And while we're waiting to see how this one goes, I will say, because I didn't have time to talk about this at the top of the episode, since it's Halloween, I would love to know if you're going out today, if you're doing the whole trick-or-treating, maybe going to a party. Are you dressing up? More specifically, are you dressing up in Pokemon costumes? I tried really hard to find the photos of me as a kid doing Halloween stuff like for Pokemon. Like I was a Pokemon trainer one year, but it was like my own version of like kind of like a mix of Ash and Red from the games. Like I was really trying to be my own thing, but I handmade my Pokeballs and, you know, all that other stuff. It was pretty fun. I also was Charmeleon one time because, of course, Charmander is my favorite, and they had a Charmeleon costume at Party City, so had to get that one. And I did another Pokemon one, but I don't remember what it was. I don't have those photos, unfortunately. I'm sure my mom does, but I don't want to bother her and be like, hey, for the 80th time in my life, can I get a picture from you? And, you know, bother her. Who knows? Anyway, speaking of, now that we're done with the Halloween talk, we are also done with the ghosts. Eventually, I made it through even without using my rare candies. I just sort of put my head down and kind of barreled right through. Got two resets there. Not great, but with a little bit of setup against Lance's team, for once we have something that can withstand the Gyarados pretty easily. So that means that the next 4 dragon type, well, and rock flying, we can just ice beam away. Take it away, Kabutops. You done it. Now we're going to use the last rare candy here, get up to a nice level, then use a full restore. And now it is time to go up against the champion. Now, Hot Goths has not had a team. Okay, sorry, that I thought it was going to be funny, but in a thing that I could make it through without laughing, but it was too ridiculous. My rival, though, does have a team that on all other fights has not really been an issue, but this one, because the learn set for his Pokemon gets a little bit better, and two of those Pokemon are all, finally, they're all, fully evolved, it did give me a little bit of a problem, a little bit of trouble. And also, for whatever reason, the graphics kept coming on for the fight sequence. I am going to fix that in between a couple of these fights in a moment here. But one of the biggest problems that happened was I got stuck on a mindset of the right order of operations in this battle. And so I was frequently getting into sections with just far too little health. Especially the Cloyster. If I didn't one-shot the Cloyster and it was getting a clamp off, then I was for sure dying. And a large portion of that is spending way too much time up against the Sandslash. Eventually, I learned my lesson, right? Eventually, we're going to figure out that that's not the right thing to do. The correct order is to actually just go ahead and attack the Sandslash. You can also just go ahead and attack the Alakazam. It doesn't matter. Exeggutor actually doesn't really have an answer for you. Because it sees rock and water and grass is 4 times effective, it's just going to go for Leech Seed all the time. And Leech Seed does do some little chip damage, but you can set up against him, and then you can one-tap the last 3 without losing any more health. See how much easier that was? So I lost about 4 minutes there. But an hour and 8 minutes, that felt really good. Especially for a Pokemon that I very rarely have ever used, for all the reasons that we mentioned previously. I really kind of felt good about this run. All 7 of the resets that we had in this game were all within the last, 15 minutes of the game? 15, maybe 20 tops? That's pretty great. I really like that. And I really like Kabutops. I'm really excited to try him again, both here and maybe in other games. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. As I said earlier, drop in the comments, your Halloween plans. And if you haven't already followed the channel here and you've made it this far and you've enjoyed the content, I am trying to make it to 500 subscribers by the end of the year. So the trick for me would be if you treated yourself to a subscription. Oof, God. I think I'm going to leave that in, but I don't feel great about it. Okay, well, anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next week for another solo challenge in Pokemon Yellow.